Dennis Kohler, Weathervane Playhouse, take one, page one. I don't know whether any of these are actual bloopers, but they are stories that stick in my mind and make certain shows memorable. In 1975, which is probably before most of you were born, I was doing Fiddler at Weathervane Playhouse out on 79. And I was doing Mordka, the innkeeper. And it was like the Tasmanian klooch went through the cast. I think everybody at some point got sick. Every night we would come to the theater and there would be a list posted of who's playing what part and whether you were allowed to carry a script on stage. One night, Golda was sick, and so Yenta moved into Golda's spot, and then they had to take a chorus girl and put her into Yenta. One night, the guy who played Perchik, he did his verse in Sunrise Sunset at the wedding, and then he disappeared, and later on at the wedding when he had to come in and dance with Hoddle, it was a different actor. He came in because the other guy was out throwing up his guts out behind the theater. But, and this is horrible, but I'm an actor, I'll admit it. I kept hoping that the guy playing Tevye would come down with something and that they'd get a call. I'd get a call in the afternoon saying, "Dennis, do you suppose you could play Tevye tonight?" But it never happened. He was the healthiest one of the bunch, I think. Fiddler on the Roof in 1986. This was my first year under contract with Weathervane. I was actually getting paid. I had been with Weathervane since 1972, and here it was, 86, and I thought, yeah, they finally understand what I'm worth. But I was supposed to do all 5 shows, and the opening show was Fiddler, and I was doing Tevye. I will admit, during the whole rehearsal period, I was not feeling real good, physically. Opening night, a little nauseous, but opening night jitters and me don't get along real well. The next day, we were supposed to start rehearsals for the second show, which was Don't Drink the Water. I was supposed to play the father. We were rehearsing, and of course, this is pre-air conditioning, so we're rehearsing literally out in the sun, and I passed out. And they called the squad, and they came, and I'll tell you the famous story. I'm laying there on the asphalt. They didn't even carry me to the couch. There was a couch on the set, but they left me laying on the asphalt. And the squad guys are standing there looking over me. "Do you know your name?" "Yes." "Do you know your name?" "Yes." Finally someone said, "I think they want you to say it." "Oh, okay, Dennis Kohler." And then it was, "Do you know where you are?" "Yes." "Do you know where you are?" "Yeah." "Oh, wait a minute, do you want me to tell you where I'm at Weathervane Playhouse?" And they thought it was just the heat. So I continued rehearsal. That night at the performance for Fiddler, I admit I was getting sicker and sicker every time I was off stage, which, when you're Tevye, it's not very often. The song Matchmaker is about the longest time I was off stage. I was literally throwing up my guts out behind the theater, which is one thing nice about having an outdoor type theater. The next night of the show, I was so sick, I could hardly even stand up. I had an ice pack in one pocket and smelling salts in the other pocket. And when I wasn't putting the ice pack on the back of my neck as inconspicuously as I could, I was holding the smelling salts under my nose. The dream sequence, the beds split apart and did this tilt-a-whirl type of thing. I was so sick. But I kept going. In the one week that I did stay with the show, I lost 22 pounds. Something was wrong. On Thursday of the second week, my doctor was in the audience, right in the front row. I remember seeing him there. After I took my bow at the end, I kind of faltered back a step or two, and he came up to me and he said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "No, I'm sick." And he said, "Well, either you take yourself or I'm driving you, but you're going straight to the hospital." It seems the whites of my eyes had turned completely yellow. So it was like, bye-bye cast. I went straight to the hospital. They thought it might be infectious hepatitis. So they put me in isolation. Everyone, doctors, nurses, the gowns, the masks, the gloves. Ooh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Masks. Anyway, I was in isolation for about 3 days. Oh, and by the way, being hepatitis, there's the one scene in Fiddler, Sabbath Prayer, where the whole family has to pass the same cup around and everyone drinks out of the same cup. So the cast was very happy about going to the hospital to be tested. After about 3 days in isolation, the doctor came in one morning, no mask, no gloves, no gown. He said, "We got your test results back. It's not hepatitis, it's your gallbladder. We're going to schedule you for a half hour of surgery tomorrow morning. You'll be back up at the theater before the end of the summer." Well, a half hour of surgery turned into 3.5, almost 4 hours. It seems my gallbladder had exploded. The stones had settled clear up under my diaphragm, down into my gut and everywhere. They managed to pull out 18, 20 stones, but there were still more in there, so they had to leave 4 drainage tubes in me, which basically meant I did not get back to the theater before the end of the summer. In fact, the biggest of the drainage tubes stayed in until September. I went back to teaching in the fall with a big tube sticking out of me. But anyway, that was Fiddler in 1986, which I have a video copy of my final performance. And I have yet to be able to watch the whole thing because I just start feeling sick. Okay.